Aslam o alaikum, brother and sisters. In the stillness of the night, when the world seemed asleep, the weight of my thoughts felt unbearable. The silence around me only amplified the chaos within. It was as if I was drowning in a sea of despair, and I couldn't find a way to breathe. I felt lost, disconnected from everything and everyone. The emptiness inside me was deafening. I had everything: material possessions, friends, a career, but none of it brought any real peace. Something was missing. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it felt like a part of me had vanished into the darkness. I began to numb myself with distractions, scrolling endlessly on my phone, attending social gatherings, engaging in shallow conversations, anything to keep my mind from wandering to the pain. But nothing worked. It was like trying to fill a hole that only grew bigger the more I tried to shove things into it. Even when I was surrounded by people, I felt completely alone. The laughter of others echoed in my ears, reminding me of my own silence, my own sense of being invisible. I started questioning myself. Who had I become? When did everything start slipping away? I remembered a time when life was different, when simple things made me happy. I could find joy in the smallest of moments, but now even the brightest of days seemed dull. I began to wonder if I had lost my way. The person I used to be felt like a distant memory, like someone I didn't recognize anymore. The questions piled up. Why am I here? What is my purpose? The answers felt just out of reach, no matter how hard I searched. The more I questioned, the more I felt like I was sinking further. It was as if every answer led to more confusion, more darkness. But in the midst of all this, I felt a tiny flicker inside me, a glimmer, almost unnoticeable. But it was there. Something greater, something beyond my pain. One night, when everything seemed too much to bear, a quiet thought entered my mind. It wasn't loud or forceful, just a gentle whisper. Turn back to Allah. I immediately dismissed it. How could I return after everything I had done? The mistakes, the neglect, the sins. I had gone too far. How could Allah ever forgive someone like me? But the whisper didn't leave. It persisted, soft and patient. It wasn't a reminder of my failures, but an invitation to seek mercy. It reminded me that Allah's mercy is infinite, that no matter how far I had strayed, I could always come back. I wrestled with doubt. Why would Allah forgive someone like me? I had wandered so far from the right path, I thought. I was too lost, too far gone. The shame I felt held me back, while a quiet hope urged me forward. The battle raged within me. The shame of my past was heavy, but the hope of redemption seemed like a lifeline. The struggle between the two was fierce, and I didn't know which one would win. But eventually, I couldn't fight it anymore. My heart was heavy, and the tears came without warning. I found myself on my knees, whispering a prayer to Allah. Ya Allah, I'm lost. I don't know how to come back, but I need you. Please guide me. Forgive me. In that moment, something inside me shifted. It was as though a weight had been lifted from my chest. I felt vulnerable, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of relief, as though I had finally let go of something I didn't even know I was holding on to. The road to healing wasn't easy or immediate. It was a process, and I knew it would take time. The first step was admitting that I couldn't do it alone. I needed Allah. With each prayer, each act of worship, I began to rebuild my connection with Him. At first, I wasn't fully present during my prayers, but I showed up. I tried. Slowly, I began to read the Quran again, letting its words speak to me. The verses seemed to have a new meaning, like they were reaching into my soul, reminding me that there was hope even in the hardest times. The phrase, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease," Quran 94.6, began to comfort me, as if Allah Himself was holding me, telling me that even in my darkest days, ease would follow. It wasn't always easy. There were days when doubt crept back in, when I felt unworthy, like I wasn't good enough to be forgiven. But with every struggle, I reminded myself of Allah's mercy. I reminded myself that every step I took toward Him mattered. Even when I stumbled, I knew I could always turn back to Him, because He is the most merciful, the most forgiving. As I continued to pray, to seek solace in the Quran, and to remember Allah in the quiet moments, I began to feel a shift inside me. The darkness that had once consumed me started to fade. Slowly but surely, I started to feel lighter, more at peace. Life didn't become perfect, but my perspective changed. I could see the beauty in the world again, even in the challenges. I understood that every difficulty I faced was an opportunity to grow closer to Allah. I wasn't alone anymore, and that thought brought me a peace I had longed for. One of the most powerful changes in me was the ability to feel gratitude. I began to thank Allah for the simple things: my breath, the warmth of the sun, the love of my family and friends. I had spent so much time focusing on what I didn't have, but now I saw the countless blessings Allah had already given me. Gratitude filled my heart, and with it came a deep sense of contentment. There was one verse from the Quran that stayed with me throughout this journey. Say, O my servants who have transgressed against yourselves by sinning, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Indeed, it is He who is the forgiving, the merciful. Quran 39:53. This verse became my anchor. It reminded me that Allah's mercy is greater than any sin, and that no matter how far I had fallen, I could always return to Him. I realized that my past didn't define me. What mattered was my willingness to change, to seek forgiveness, and to move forward with sincerity. As I continued on this path, I understood that true peace comes from reconnecting with Allah. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about persistence. I no longer had to be ashamed of my mistakes. I could accept them, learn from them, and move forward. Each step I took toward Allah brought me closer to the peace I had been searching for all along. If you're feeling lost, I want you to know that it's never too late. Even the smallest whisper of Ya Allah can change everything. Allah's mercy is infinite, and His love is deeper than any despair. No matter how far you've strayed, it's always possible to return. Take that first step, and you'll find Him waiting with open arms. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If this message has touched your heart, I hope you share it with others so we can all inspire one another to return to the light. May Allah guide us all and fill our hearts with His mercy. Ameen.